What's going on, my beautiful people? Going to give this a little bit of time to catch up, but today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about setting healthy boundaries and the importance of setting those healthy boundaries. Huge, huge, huge. You can avoid so many issues, so much conflict just by learning early on how to communicate your boundaries, how to have these healthy boundaries, and how to set them in the first place. Because what happens is, what's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Because what happens, if you guys have questions, I'll answer them for you. Because what happens is you get into these relationship dynamics that it's hard for you to undo. So, the saying, you teach people how to treat you, after a while, you have a difficult time trying to correct those mistakes, of the mistake being allowing this person to constantly and consistently cross the boundaries that you've set for yourself. Now, people will ask me, what's the difference between the boundaries and standards? Standards are things that you go into the relationship with, certain characteristics, certain, little templates that you have going into the relationship in the first place. Now, boundaries are something that you start to set within that relationship. So setting healthy boundaries is probably even more important, because sometimes, let's just be honest, we lower our standards getting into relationships. Sometimes we don't even go into relationships with any standards. In relationships that I've dealt with in the past, I kind of just went out there and just dated and didn't know exactly what I really wanted in those relationships. But after you get into that relationship, that's when you have to be able to set these healthy boundaries. Now, I was actually just watching another coach, and this question came up in that coaching session, which was, how do I set healthy boundaries after I've already allowed this person to consistently break those boundaries, or consistently be disrespectful, or whatever that may be. If someone's cheating, then of course, that's an unspoken boundary. That's an unspoken rule, especially if you get into a relationship where it's a monogamy relationship or monogamous. But, there are relationships where there are no rules. There are, they have open relationships. Now, how do you communicate your boundaries in that? That takes a whole new set of rules and set of ways of navigating throughout that relationship. But, as long as you guys are on the same page, then that's a whole, I digress on that one. So the importance of setting healthy boundaries, after a while, you start to form resentment for that person. If you are having a difficult time talking to them, let's say, for example, you try to set a boundary with someone and they get angry, and they consistently get angry. That makes that an unsafe environment. That makes that an unsafe relationship. But I feel if you would have came to the table, or if you would have talked about these boundaries early on, you wouldn't be in this position. Like, you wouldn't have to undo. Like I said earlier, you teach people how to treat you, because once they learn what they can get away with, then they're going to consistently do it. One thing that I always get, one scenario, I guess, is guys liking people's pictures on Instagram, on Facebook, and I say, if you have came to them about it, you address them about the issue, and they consistently do it after that, then that's when they're breaking that healthy boundaries. But if you've been able to talk about, sorry, I'm getting notifications here. If you've spoken to them about it and they consistently do it after that, then that's when that resentment will start. That's when you have to really ask yourself, is this person capable of consistently meeting my or not crossing my boundaries? You have to ask yourself that question. If this person is even the right one for me. Because if they had a history of doing this, this is why I think it's important for you to vet people accordingly too, because you can really eliminate some of these issues, these boundary breaking issues, if you will vet your person appropriately in the beginning, which means, like I said earlier, you go into it with your certain standards. This is why they have on dating apps, they have all these little boxes and stuff that you can check about what it is that you want out of a relationship. What is it that you want out of a person, out of a spouse? So if you're able to do that and not go beneath, I know people are going to say, well, you got to give people a chance. No one's perfect. And I'm not saying that you have to find someone that's perfect, because we're all works in progress, right? I'm not saying that. But there are certain things that will be deal breakers, that will be, this is an absolute no-fly zone for me. For a lot of people these days, as you get older, and with social media, with people are meeting people on social media, on dating apps, as you get older, your standards are going to get a little bit higher, because you're at a different stage in your life. You may not want to be dating someone that doesn't have steady income or steady job or steady transportation. That's something that's going to be one of your standards going into a relationship later on, or even going through the courtship phase. But I think another issue too is when we do find that person that we gel with and we are in that honeymoon phase, we just completely forget about all of the red flags that we see, or all of these things that were our standards at one point in our life. It goes by the wayside. And I see this happen a lot with men, when they get into a relationship with a woman that is, really attractive, and she's, pretty outgoing. She may have all that going for herself, but can't keep a steady job. It's very confrontational, and they kind of let that thing fall by the wayside. Like, all right, well, the positives outweigh the negatives for right now, but I see too many times where after a while, what attracted you to that person in the first place becomes a deal breaker later on, and it's going to be like, all right, during the honeymoon phase, I could put my blinders up, but when we get into that power struggle phase, that's when things start to get a little bit annoying, a little bit the snoring starts to matter. Then put it that way. What's up, Cassandra? If y'all got questions, don't just let me rant here, leaving me blowing in the wind. Ask me a question. I'll answer it for you guys. It's been a while since I've done a live on Instagram, so I felt convicted to go ahead and talk to you guys on here. It's cool when you see other influencers doing it. I see it happening all the time. I like to chime in whenever I can to kind of help give a little bit of dialogue there, give them some meat to grab onto. Perfect. Thank you. This can apply to family members too. Yes, setting healthy boundaries. Now, I think it's even more important to do that because it sets the tempo for how you're going to allow other people to come into your life. Because I usually ask people when they're in a relationship with someone, let's say they've been dating for someone for like 2-3 years, and then they say, he's really disrespectful. She's really this and that. Like, she just kind of just ignores me when she goes out, all these different things. I ask them, how is your relationship with your family members? Or do you set healthy boundaries with your family members? And most of the time what you'll see is they have a pattern of allowing people to cross those boundaries. They say they don't want to be confrontational. Or the rebuttal usually is, you don't know what we've been through. We had a rough upbringing. We had this and that. But I'm like, you're not a kid anymore. So it's important for you to set these boundaries because they watch that. When you get into a relationship with people, they actually watch how you operate with other people. They see how you set boundaries with your friends and with your family members. And honestly, I've seen them start to lose respect for people who, try to puff out their chest and set boundaries with them, but then they say, you can't even do this with your brother. You can't even do this with your mom. So how in the world am I going to take you serious when you're trying to puff your chest out at me? So yeah, it's important for you to do that too, to set the boundaries with your family members. It's a perfect way to practice saying no, or saying these are the things I won't tolerate. This is the type of language, the type of communication style that I'm not going to mess around with, and if you have to cut that person off or step back and say, look, whenever you get it together or whenever you want to come and talk to me like an adult, or if you can't respect that I don't allow this in my house or whatever, then you have to set those boundaries. Questions? Any more questions? I normally go live on YouTube, but like I said, I haven't been on here in a minute, so I want to go ahead and just say what's up to everybody. No more questions. I'm going to take off. It's been good. It's been good to see you guys. Good to communicate with you. Thank you for supporting my work here and giving me some quote content. Take care of yourself.